The words cut through the dining room of Marchetti, the flagship restaurant of the Aldridge Hospitality Group. Naomi. Whitfield looked up slowly from table 14. Her hand still rested on the edge of her tablet. Her reservation confirmation glowed open beside a half-finished glass of sparkling water. Around her, the dining room went quiet. White linen, low gold light, the soft clink of silverware pausing mid. The host standing over her wore a tight smile that didn't reach her eyes. Her name tag read Kelsey Vaughn. Behind her, a woman in her late 50s tapped one manicured finger against a diamond bracelet. Silk scarf, cream coat. The impatience of someone the world had spent decades stepping aside for. "That is my table," the woman said, loud enough for the surrounding tables to hear. "I always sit there." Naomi blinked once. Not in fear, in disbelief. She was 34, in a simple black dress and low heels. Hair pulled back, no entourage, just a small clutch and a tablet. Just the stillness of a woman used to carrying weight without announcing it. "There's been a mix-up," Kelsey said. "Mrs. Radford is one of our most loyal guests. We'd like to accommodate her." Naomi lifted her phone. The confirmation email open. "My name is Naomi Whitfield. This is my reservation. I booked it 2 weeks ago, 7 o'clock, table 14. Her voice stayed calm, almost gentle. Kelsey barely glanced at the screen. Instead, she looked past Naomi, toward the woman in the scarf, as if the answer lived not in the reservation, but in the face wearing the diamonds. Vivian Radford gave a small, cold laugh. "I don't know what app you use, dear, but this section can be confusing." A man 2 tables over lowered his menu. A couple near the window stopped their conversation. From somewhere behind them came the soft chirp of a phone camera switching on. Naomi felt the old weight settle against her ribs, the same weight she'd known in pitch meetings, in hotel lobbies, in rooms where people quietly wondered how she'd gotten in. She didn't answer it with anger. Anger gave them the story they were hoping for. "I made this reservation. I confirmed it this morning. I won't move because another guest prefers the table." "You're holding up service," Vivian said, leaning in, perfume sharp in the warm air. "People like me have standing arrangements." People like me. Naomi heard everything that wasn't said. So did Kelsey. So did the guests pretending not to watch. No one moved. "Why?" Naomi asked. One word, it landed like a verdict. Why can't she sit at her own table? Vivian's mouth tightened. People like Vivian didn't expect logic from the people they were trying to move. They expected surrender. That isn't the point. It's exactly the point. 2 tables back, a man in a gray cardigan held his phone low and steady. Desmond Ruiz was 29, a freelance video editor eating alone before a red-eye home. He'd spent years cutting footage of hearings and quiet disputes that never made the evening news. He knew the difference between confusion and a pattern. His thumb didn't move off record. Kelsey straightened. "Let me get the manager." "Please do," Naomi said, folding her hands over the tablet. Then Vivian shifted, reaching to adjust her coat, and in the small motion her fingers passed something folded into Kelsey's palm. Quick, clean, stiff at the edge. Kelsey's hand closed around them and slid toward her apron pocket. Almost invisible. Almost, Desmond's camera caught the whole thing. The pass of the cash. The closing hand, the glance away. His face went pale, not with fear, but with the sick recognition of a wrong becoming undeniable. The floor manager, Roland Pace, crossed the dining room the way men who believe the podium is command. Cross a dining room, unhurried, certain. The problem already. Decided before he arrived, late 50s, silver at the temples. A lapel pin shaped like the restaurant's crest. He'd heard Kelsey's version at the host stand, a guest refusing to relocate, a valued patron inconvenienced, a line building at the door. That was enough for him. "Ms. Whitfield," he said, stopping beside Kelsey. "I understand you're refusing to cooperate." "Your staff," Naomi repeated softly, "hasn't corrected a guest who's sitting at the wrong table. Your staff has asked me to leave the table on my own confirmation." A few phones lifted higher. Roland's jaw tightened. "Ma'am, we ask that guests work with staff to keep service moving." "I am working with your staff," Naomi said. "This is a preference dressed up as policy." The sentence moved through the room like a draft. She lifted her phone and spoke evenly toward it. "For the record, my name is Naomi Whitfield. Table 14 confirmed this morning. I've shown my reservation. I haven't raised my voice. I haven't threatened anyone. I'm being asked to leave because another guest prefers my table." Vivian exhaled sharply. She's making a scene. No, Naomi said, not unkindly. You are. It was the calm that undid them. No shout to write down. No insult to underline. Only a woman with a confirmed reservation refusing to disappear. An older woman at the next table set down her wine glass. Eleanor Voss was past 70. Her hands not quite steady, but her voice held. I saw her confirmation. I heard all of it. She looked directly at Roland. She's been calmer than everyone standing over her. This is wrong. Her husband touched her arm. She didn't stop. Desmond's camera turned, caught Eleanor's face, caught Vivian's flush, caught the moment Roland's authority began to look like fabric, and nothing more. There was, Naomi said. Your staff caused it. Priya shared the footage, Kelsey barely glancing at the confirmation. Vivian saying, people like me. And then the frame Priya left paused on the screen. A folded stack of bills passing from one hand to another. You didn't relocate a guest, Naomi said quietly. You sold a table? So my question to this board is simple. What else is for sale? No one answered. 30 miles away, Vivian's desert had gone untouched. Her phone buzzed against the table. A headline beneath a friend's message, Black investor removed from her own restaurant group's flagship location, so another diner could buy her seat. She read one word twice, investor. Her fingers went cold. For the first time, she looked at the empty chair across from her and understood that the woman she'd forced out hadn't lost her power when she left the room. She'd taken it with her. Kelsey Vaughn, who had taken the cash, was terminated. The bribe was referred to outside counsel. When the internal review reached her, she didn't deny it. I took the money, she said, voice breaking. I told myself it wasn't a big deal. I told myself everyone bends a little. I was wrong. It didn't save her job. It was, at least, the truth, which was more than the system around her had managed that night. Roland Pace, who had ordered a paying guest removed, without ever confirming the actual reservation, was suspended pending review and did not return to a management role. Vivian Radford, referred for the bribe, was quietly dropped from 2 charity boards within the month. Naomi never spoke her name again. Sometimes being forgotten is the harsher sentence. The incident report itself was corrected. What had been logged as guest disturbance? Table 14 was amended and preserved. The word disturbance was struck. In its place, the file named what had actually happened. A confirmed guest removed so a table could be sold. Then the floor came up under the company itself. An independent service culture audit, bias intervention training across every location. 11 months of complaints that leadership had filed under isolated incidents were reopened and read for what they actually were. A director cleared his throat. Immediate termination before a full process may expose us to claims from staff. Your company is already exposed, Priya said. The question is whether you reduce the harm or defend it. The vote passed. No one celebrated. Days later, with 3 locations briefly closed for retraining, Naomi stood in front of 200 Aldridge employees. No applause, no revenge in her eyes. I could end careers, she said. I could spend years in court, but punishment alone changes nothing. She paused. Somewhere along the way, comfort became more important than fairness, and a few of you stopped asking whether a table was yours to give or to sell. She signed off on the reinvestment only after every reform was complete. Desmond Ruiz's footage earned him a regional journalism honor. Eleanor Voss, who wouldn't stay quiet, was given a standing reservation she never asked for. Officer Renee Adair became a training advisor for hospitality DS, the one who had done the job and still had the decency to be uneasy about it. Late that night, Naomi stood at her office window above the city. Table 14 had never been about a table. It had been about a question a society keeps having to answer. Who gets to be ordinary? The answer had always been simple. Everyone. If you believe dignity shouldn't depend on who's watching. Like this video, subscribe for more stories of quiet justice and accountability. And write these 3 words in the comments: not for sale.